keynote speaker joining us today, and I really could not be more excited to introduce her to you. Carmen Ohling is the CEO of Amplified Life Company, a holistic life and leadership coach, and a powerhouse when it comes to helping people and businesses reach their full potential. Today, she's here to talk about ROR, return on relationship. In a world where real connections matter more than transactions, Carmen will share how building authentic relationships can drive loyalty, spark innovation, and lead to long-term success. Get ready for some powerful insights that might just change the way you think about business and leadership. Please join me in welcoming Carmen Ohling.
That was so good, Shannon. So good. Yeah, I will. Is someone keeping time for me, or I just brought my phone? Okay. Hi. This is a turnout. I'm surprised I've never been to one of these pub talks before, so thank you for that introduction. In 2012, a young Harvard student had a bold idea. This bold idea was a way to optimize human performance. Now you see, he was a collegiate athlete. He played squash. Anybody ever play squash? It is intense. It's like those walls, you get sweaty, like it's crazy. If you've never played it, it is one of the most intense sports. And so he got relentlessly curious around what would be the things that would optimize human performance. And so he started talking to coaches and athletes and trainers, really asking them, what did they focus on to optimize human performance? And here's what he found. They kept talking to him about the nutrition that they had, about the training that they did, and then he would ask them something different. He would ask them about their challenges. And the biggest challenges that they found that they had were things like not enough sleep, not enough recovery time, too much on their plate, their overall well-being. And this is where his big, bold idea came in, where he wanted to find a way to help these athletes train smarter and recover better. And so he set off to create a wearable device that did just that. There was no other wearable devices on the market that optimized things like sleep and recovery and well-being. He was trying to bring something new to market, and there were other key players. You might know them. Apple, ever heard of that? Or Nike? That's who he was up against. So when he went to investors with this idea, he didn't get yeses. And so you know what he started doing? He started building relationships. You see, his relentless curiosity led him to have the most compelling vision around optimizing human performance in a way that had never been done before. So when he went to these trainers, he told them about it, and they couldn't help but want to be a part of it. They wanted to try it out, and they wanted to wear it. And then guess what they did? They gave it to their clients to try it out as well. And what happened from there is this like grassroots type of marketing that was based all on relationship. Now, the founder that I'm talking about is Will Ahmed. It's Whoop, Whoop, Whoop. Mic kind of goes out when I said Whoop, Whoop. It's a Whoop wearable band. I'm actually wearing it right now, and it tracks just that. So it's not your step count. It's not just your calories. It's not those types of things. It tracks sleep, HRV, which is heart rate variability, your recovery. And the key to this and what we know in human performance is those are the keys that help us show us as our highest and best. Not just as an athlete, but as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as a human today. If we're not well rested and we're not taking care of our well-being, we're not going to be able to do that. And so he founded this company, Whoop, based off relationships. And if you don't believe me, I'll tell you one more little story about it. About 2 years in, still a little struggling, but working on those relationships with those personal trainers and their athletes wearing the band. He takes the day off. It's a Saturday. He's going to watch a Boston Celtics game. He goes to his parents' house. They turn on the TV, the game's going, timeout. And so naturally, there's commercials on. And he sees this commercial. Anybody know who this is? LeBron James. But that's not the most interesting thing about it. The most interesting thing about it is that if you look at his wrist, he's wearing one of these Whoop bands. Guess what else? LeBron James has never been a sponsored athlete with Whoop. He just believed so much in this product, he wouldn't take it off when he filmed this Kia commercial. That's the power of relationships. So Whoop is now valued at over $1 billion, but it didn't happen overnight. But it happened because the founder was invested in relationships. And relationships can move even faster than money. Yeah, that's right. So let's talk a little bit about what is ROI, return on investment. We've all heard that before. What's your definition of ROI? Someone shout it out. Don't all talk at once. Invest $1, get $2 back, hopefully, maybe more, right? We put something in, we get something out. Here's the thing about ROI. It's short-lived. It's transactional. We might make money in the moment, but over time, returns are going to be dwindling, shortened, maybe even stopped. There's a ceiling on our ROI. But you know what the game changer is? It's your ROR. That's your return on relationship. That's when your currency is trust, loyalty, and connection. Your ROR turns into your multiplier. When you hit this ceiling, then you can rely on your relationships to get to the next level. And if you're thinking, okay, Carmen, that's great for this Harvard student, he got in with LeBron James. What about me here in Central Oregon? Well, I thought of that too, and so I want to share with you practical ways that you can take away how to increase your ROR, how to stop focusing on your ROI and focus on the relationships, whether that be personally or professionally, but it grows both. And it starts with this, your vision. You must have such a compelling vision that people want to be a part of something. It's no longer enough in 2025 to have a business and just to say, buy this widget, buy this service. People don't want to hear buy this, they want to hear be this. They want to be a part of something bigger than themselves, bigger than the product, bigger than the service. Just like what Will was offering with Whoop, it was a brand new way that no one had ever seen before to unlock human performance and raise it to the next level. I mean, can you imagine LeBron James wearing your product without paying him and then not taking it off when he filmed a different Kia commercial? I mean, come on. At our company, The Amplified Life, we do executive coaching and leadership development. We might host some offsite retreat experiences for executives, but that's not what we lead with. And I'll invite you in to our compelling mission, which is as simple as this. It's be the one to show the world how great life truly is. It's so simple, but yet sometimes so challenging. And we know when we work with organizations and we go in there and we show that, you can be the one at home, at work, in your corner of the world, but it creates a ripple. And then when you invite others to that, then together we collectively create a wave. That's our vision. So I ask you, what's your vision for your career, for your business? Can you articulate it in a way that people are intrigued, that they want to join in, that they want more of it, that it turns transactions into relationships? Raise your hand if you're like, I am on point with my vision. Anybody? I'm going to call. Would you be bold enough to come up here? No, you don't. Ready? This is Nick from Danner Consulting.
Hello. So my vision is to help people turn ideas that they invest their hard-earned time and money into and turn it into real businesses. So in particular, engineers have great technical solutions, but need some help turning it into commercial success. So that is my vision from an economic development standpoint, is helping people bring their technology to market and really make it a commercial success.
I like specifically with engineers.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Nice. So you guide engineers to become so dynamic with their expertise that it expands what's possible for themselves and their clients, and you create that ripple and that wave.
Yeah, I think there's an opportunity cost for founders, and they have to focus on a lot of different things. But when it comes to raising funding, they need to prove commercial, viability and success. So it's about helping founders as they're growing with some of the big hurdles that they're going to face to growing their companies.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate you. Anybody else? Like, yes, oh yeah, we got another one. Okay.
Connect and empower local women in general here in Central Oregon with Deschutes Women in Business.
Thank you. Anybody else really wanting to share?
I help coach people in construction and the trades businesses to improve their people, process, and profit, because they are called not just to employ their people, but they are the backbone of our regions to establish influence over government and economy.
So I love all these, and I love that everybody had spoke up. And I encourage you and I invite you, when you're thinking of your vision, think of the biggest picture possible. Think of what can they join in on versus what is it transactional that I'm offering as a widget or as a service, and create the biggest vision possible. If there were no barriers, what would be possible that people want to come along and join in on? What is that big thing that you're ultimately doing that's on your heart, that is your gift? And so starting with your vision and having a compelling vision that's so strong, people just want to come and learn more. They're intrigued. So we have a number of beliefs at the Amplified Life Company, and our fifth belief is this one that I put up here for you. Your network is your net worth, and it begins where your skill set ends, and it's the catalyst to your next level. Now, there's a few parts into that, but the one that I want to point out for this audience today is that where your skill set ends. Who's really good at saying, I don't know something, I'm not good at that? Anybody really good at that, right? Some of us, right? For a long time, I thought I needed to know everything. And so even if I didn't know something, I'd act like I knew it, and then I'd go and I'd research it and study it, and then I'd try to know it. But what I've learned is relationships, building relationships. Where your skill set ends, their expertise starts, and that's how you get to the next level. When you get stuck, you reach out. And your relationships are the one that really take you there. So let's talk about the second thing. So the first thing to become Whoop-like and get LeBron James to wear your Whoop wearable without even asking, right, is to have a compelling vision. The second thing is really to let go of the idea of networking. In research for this talk, I was watching Will, the Whoop founder, and watching a podcast of him, and he said, I hate networking. And I thought, well, that's interesting because his whole business is built on relationships. But what he meant by that is my second point up here, and the second elephant in the room is how many people have gone to the networking event and you come home and you have a pocket full of business cards, no real deep, meaningful relationships. I've been there. How many people have talked themselves out of going to a networking event for that reason? So maybe they missed out on an opportunity. I've been there. And so what he was saying, and what I invite you all to start thinking about, is places like this, like PubTalks and other places that we might think of as networking events. I want you to start thinking of them as relationship builders. Where are you at right now in this season of your life and your business? Because the first elephant in the room is often we're saying yes to too many things. And over the decade of working with founders and executives and entrepreneurs, I ask them often how they're feeling, and they tell me that they're often overwhelmed and they have too much on their plate. And what I've found is that they're not super clear on their vision on where they're going. So they're saying yes to everything and everyone that looks like a good opportunity, and it's exhausting. And so when you call out the elephant in the room on number 1, you give yourself permission to only say yes to the things that are aligned with you right now. It can be challenging at times, but it can sound something like, thank you so much for thinking of me. I'm honored. I don't have capacity to do that right now. But understanding and gaining clarity on where you're at and where you're going, so you can use that as your flashlight and your guiding light of saying yes or no. And then the second thing is to getting in rooms like this where people want to build relationships, where they know that relationships matter, where they know that when they put the time, energy, and resources in today, even if they don't see a return today, in the future, sometime in the future, they'll see it. Because return on relationship is really the long game versus transactional being the short game. And the third thing that I wanted to mention up here, does anybody work remotely or hybrid? So I've been doing this little mini study. So it basically consists of, I live in Miami Beach. I go to this little bougie gym there, and I'll sit in the infrared sauna. And anybody that's a leader or an executive, I ask them if they have a remote team. And when they do, I start asking them a variety of questions around the effectiveness of their team in person versus now being virtual and hybrid. What do you think I've found? Any ideas? Less effective. So here's the one thing that I found. It was time and time again, the first thing they started with was, well, we're still meeting our goals. And I'm like, interesting. They start with that. And so I start asking more questions. And what it turns out is that they are less innovative, less creative, low energy, and here's the big thing, high turnover. High turnover. So if we're saving money on infrastructure, on a location, but we have high turnover, what is your number one expense as a business owner? Right. And so then I start talking about, well, what's your vision? They don't have a clear, compelling vision. Do you think if they had a clear, compelling vision, no matter what, if they're virtual in person, that could help? That could possibly help do more than just meet our goals. We could create a culture that was human-centered, focused. We could build relationships. We could have loyalty. We could grow our employees from the ground up. Yeah, we could. And so I would encourage you today, if you're still working remote or hybrid, to look at that. Are you being a compelling leader? Are you being a dynamic leader? Maybe bring people in for what would you call it? An on-site, because it's no longer an off-site, because everybody's off-site, for once a quarter. Do a think tank. Get them excited again. Share the vision. Have them be innovative and creative. Tell them specifically how they're making a difference for your organization based on that vision. They're a part of something bigger. That'll make a difference. So if you still don't believe me that relationships are the most important, I want to talk to you a little bit about the longest study of human health and happiness. It's still being conducted to this day. It's being done by Harvard, and it started in 1938 with a group of Harvard men that were graduates, and they started following their lives, and then generationally they followed. Maybe some of you have heard of this study before, and they're still following those generations after that. So it's men and women and children and all of that. And they did things. They learned about their nutrition and their health habits. They learned about their debt and their finances and their stress and their jobs and their recreation. And they were trying to figure out what was this key tie that each one of these people had when they answered their survey, that they were the healthiest and they were the happiest. And you might think it's reaching a certain amount of success or having the home or the family that they wanted. And here's what it was. True fulfillment is the quality of your relationships. And I'm making an emphasis on the word quality because I remember a time prior to this company that I founded. I worked for JP Morgan for 16 years, and I remember a time I was often too busy, or I would do it later or do it next week to not build meaningful relationships. Anybody with me? Ever been there? You have all the intentions to that business card that you got at the networking event, which we're calling a relationship building experience now. Let me change that. That you have all the intentions to set the coffee date, to do the email, to make the connection, but you don't ever do it. So again, I implore you, I invite you to join us and be the one to show the world how great life is. So when you leave here today, if you've made a connection, you said you're going to reach out, reach out. Be the one to set up the event, be the one to make the phone call, because nobody is going to do it for you. You have to be the one. But when you start doing that, magic happens. So I told you earlier that I lived in Miami Beach. Less than a year ago, I started building relationships here in Bend. So raise your hand if you have a relationship with me or you're building a relationship with me just over this last year. So look around, and I could tell you about all of these people intimately. I have deep, meaningful relationships with them, and I give as much as I receive. So if you saw them and they have your hand up, you can, check me on that. But it's so important. That's why I'm on this stage right now, because I started building relationships. What can I give back? So, why this matters to your business. I thought this was an important slide that I had my team put together, because if you still don't believe me, based on LeBron James wearing the whoop, based on my relationships in this room, based on the Harvard study of health and human happiness that says quality relationships are true fulfillment to your life and your business, let's just go to some facts. Companies with highly engaged employees outperform their competitors by 147%. How would you like to outperform your competitor by 147%? Loyal customers are worth 10 times more than their first purchase. You can only move from transaction to more purchases through relationship. 10 times more. Organizations with strong cultures experience 4 times more growth. And strong cultures start with what? Strong relationships, a compelling vision. And here's the thing about those compelling visions that I did not mention. If you're not compelled first yourself, you got to go back to the drawing board. If I stood up here and said, well, I want to invite you all to be the one to show the world how great life truly is, you'd be like, cool. But I'm so compelled myself. I could talk about it all day long, and we could talk about how that's applicable in your life and your business. So strategic relationships with peers, mentors, and industry leaders open doors that talent and hard work can't alone. And a strong reputation within your community attracts opportunities even before you ask for them. Attracts opportunities even before you ask for them. Because guess what? You're showing up in a meaningful way. So here we go. So where are you at with this? If you want to know, let me do a little checklist on where I'm at in a business audit with relationships. You can feel free to text me relationships at this number, and I'll send you a little checklist. I will also send you 20 relationship building questions. And what I mean by relationship building questions, it's more like, what do you do? How was your day? How about the weather? Was it beautiful weather? Right? They're relationship questions that make you one of the most interesting people in the room, because you don't have to have all the answers. But if you ask all the questions, everybody's going to be intrigued, because guess what? People want to be seen and heard. And you know how it makes you feel when you leave somewhere and people have been seen and heard? You feel really freaking amazing. So here we go. Return on investment is the short game. Return on relationship is the long game. Society tells us that everything needs to be fast, fun, and easy, and if it's not, then it's not for us. But I'm here to tell you that the long game is where it's at. Transactions with ROI can make you money. Relationships will build wealth, and wealth is far more than just money. It's not about feeling good. It's not about saying, oh, I'm building relationships and some feel-good initiative. This is the competitive advantage that nobody's talking about. Again, it's not buy this, it's be this. It's join us on a mission that's bigger than you, bigger than me, bigger than all of us. And it could just be a simple product like this wearable that tells me how I'm going to perform the next day because how I slept or how I trained the day previous. The end of the day, the people you invest in when you choose to be the one, those are the people that are going to show up for you the next day. And we all are shaking our heads and saying, yes, 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 I know. But the biggest thing to take away from this is taking that one next step. So if you're the one that was like me, that was waiting, oh, I'm going to wait to make that call. I'm going to wait to make that connection. I have to get this perfect first. Just start building the relationships today. Move from the short game of transactional to the long game, because ROR is the new ROI. And I invite you all today to be the one to show the world how great life truly is through building relationships and building your bottom line. Thank you. Is anybody hot in here? I am like sweaty.
It's warm.
Is like,
But also, you were like bringing the heat, so I do want to point that out. I think I might have been distracting because everything you said, I was like, I'm over here in the corner being a distracting person. This was so powerful.
Thank you.
I think you really covered a lot of very important things that many people in the room can identify with. I wonder if you could maybe talk a little bit about, you mentioned early in your talk, so many leaders, so many business leaders, entrepreneurs, they feel overwhelmed. They describe that they feel burnt out. And that's kind of like the first step. That's like the stop the madness step. So how do you coach people to get from that place to a place where they can be aware that they want to build the relationships?
Mm-hmm. That's a really great question. Is anybody out there right now where you're kind of feeling overwhelmed, but you know you need to make a change so you can have capacity to build relationships? Because yeah, we have to have capacity. So if we're speaking to leaders in specific, the thing that I would do is start implementing what is the 80-20 rule, Pareto's principle, and how I like to implement it is to do a really big brain dump of all the things that you have to do during the day. This sounds very remedial with all the technology that we have, but here's the thing, it's on our calendar, but it's still in our head. When it's in our head, it's taking our energy down. And it's really not about time, it's about energy. So we want to be cultivating our energy. So we want to do a big brain dump of all the things that we do every day. And then we want to look at that list and ask these 3 questions. Does it need to be done? How many times are we doing things that actually don't need to be done? We've just always done them. The second thing is, does it need to be done this week? If it doesn't need to be done this week, plan procrastination, schedule it at a later time. Now you're left with a list of things that need to be done this week and have to be done. And then you ask, does it need to be done by me? And that's the hardest part, because often, oh, it's just easier if I do it. But the things that you're going to pick are the things that only you can do and that give you energy. So for example, making this presentation, I did not make this presentation, I will tell you that, because that does not give me energy, but my assistant, she's great at it. And you know what I told her when I got this back? Thank you so much. We're going to be impacting the lives of like 30 to 100 people with this presentation, sharing the importance of relationship. You're making a difference. We're making a ripple. We're being the one. So I tie it back to the compelling vision, but you need to dwindle that down. Start delegating, start letting things off. So then you have only the things that you can do and you have capacity.
Oh, I love that. I love that. The things that give you energy. It's pretty clear which things do and do not do that. Questions for Carmen. I mean, I have a lot more questions.
Everybody's like, I'm sweaty.
It is warm in here. Yes, in the back. John. How do you leverage technology tools to help us build relationships? Is a great question.
So in our company, we have one project management tool that we use, and it's called Asana. And so we use it for some forms, and then it automatically flows into Asana, and then it automatically populates into like our list that we have. I am also really old school, and I write things down, and then I save it in an Excel spreadsheet in a Dropbox file folder because I can access it on my phone. I use Blink for business cards. Has anybody used that before? So the cool thing about Blink is that if someone gives you their business card, then you can put notes on it, which is awesome. So if you meet someone tonight and they do your Blink card, which is just a scan, then what you can do is you can say, okay, I met at the PubTalk, and then you can write those interesting things because you were asking intriguing questions that you learned about them. So when you follow up with them to see if they do want to go on that lunch or collaborate on that next thing that you're doing, then you can remember those things and you can bring them back up again. So that's what we do. I'm sure there's other tools out there, but those are the ones that we use.
It's so helpful. Just last night, I was like cleaning my little credenza, and I was like, whose business, like, who is this person? And I genuinely felt bad about that because usually I remember, but
because
nobody here, obviously.
If you just put it into your phone, then it's just lost with all the other numbers and you forget about it. So it needs to go on a different list somewhere. And I think simple is the best. So whatever simple thing that you have access to, use that because you're going to use it. If it's complicated, you're not going to use it.
Can confirm. Yeah. I can confirm on that. Any other questions for Carmen? Yes, in the back.
Yeah. I'm sorry, what's your name? And that was John from EDCO. What's your name and who are you representing?
I'm Carter with the Oregon Frontier Innovation Hub. We love Carter.
So I work across 10 counties, and when the nature of the work is just over a really vast area, besides like, seeing them every now and then and sending them an email, once a month, do you have any insight into when the nature of the work is virtual?
Yeah, I love this. I love this question. So he works over like a huge territory. So when the nature of the work is virtual, how do you have any tips for how to manage that and how to make it more meaningful?
Yeah. I could give you a lot of tips, which you've probably heard before, but I'm going to give you this one. So one of the things that's really going to grow your ROR is sharing your own thought leadership. So gather everybody in a place like this and share the thought leadership from your organization and gather them in person. You're going to build relationships more than you've ever built in your whole entire career because you're not selling anything. You're just sharing something that they can take away that's valuable for all those organizations in Central Oregon that you work with. And it's like a little mini mastermind too. They get to talk to each other, they get to learn, they get to connect with you, and they get to look forward to it. I mean, I could have told you, I write handwritten notes. I keep specific notes so everybody gets birthday cards. I keep specific notes on things that are happening, and I make sure to ask about them. All those things that you can do. But again, you have to ask the right questions up front to be able to elicit that information. But thought leadership is a big thing. You could even get people together in Zoom around a thought leadership. But if you can get people in person, you see that there's a big key. It's going to be dramatically different for you and your business.
Okay, so Carter, you're having a conference, and I know a great MC. Let's talk.
You're having a conference?
Any other questions for Carmen? Okay, I could talk with you all night. I think this is great. I actually do have another question. So how do you, what can you tell us, how do you manage your energy? Because I see what you're doing, and it's very impressive. And how are you getting enough sleep? How are you showing up and having enough space for yourself to take care of yourself? Give me a little of this.
So I'm probably one of the most disciplined people that you've ever met, and I love systems. So, for example, I live in Miami Beach. I'm here for the week, being here with all of you and working with some clients that are in the room here. So thank you for coming. And I stay at the Residence Inn because there's a full kitchen. I actually cook my food there. I go to the grocery store, I buy it. I don't eat out. What happens often when you travel, you eat out, and then you start feeling bad. I know if I nourish my body, I'm going to feel good. I needed to stay in the East Coast time zone, so I've been waking up at 4 a.m., getting to bed early, trying to go to bed at 8 p.m. so I get plenty of rest. I work out every morning. I drink a gallon of water every day. I meditate and pray and journal every day. This sounds like a lot, but these are all things that I've built over time that help me be my highest self. It doesn't always look the same. The workout's not always an hour. The meditation is not always 20 minutes. The prayer is not always 20 minutes. Sometimes it's short, but I do it because it keeps me centered and grounded and aligned. And if that sounds a lot to you, I just encourage you to start doing something that's important to you to keep you aligned. The other thing that I do, hi Mark, the other thing that I do is I set strong boundaries. I like to say that I'm the kindest person in the room with the strongest boundaries. So if it's a no, it's a no. I know clearly my mission that I'm on right now, the season of my life that I'm in, and where I'm going. And just because I say no doesn't mean I don't care about that person. Oftentimes we say yes, not because the other person is going to feel bad, but because we're so uncomfortable with how it makes us feel, we can't sit with that discomfort. Did you hear that? It's not about them, it's about us. So get clear on where you're going, and all those things that I said will make it a lot easier to become disciplined and create systems. And
I just appreciate this so much. I'm thinking a lot about the relationship between discipline and love. Like the discipline is the best when it's because we love the thing, right? And I feel like that's what you're touching on.
yeah, so one of our other beliefs at the Amplified Life Company is disciplines and systems unlock the freedom that you want in life. And so if you're like, no, like talk to me after. It is that if you're seeking for more freedom, get more discipline and more systems.
And on that note, we need to get you to bed because I think it's just about, you're wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.